right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's start that conversation on State of the Nation, where we talk about matters, politics, and everything in between there. Let me introduce my guests one more time. Honorable Dan Manzo is here, Senator for Makueni. Asante for making time. Honorable Edio Ketch, Senator for Migori, is also with us. Honorable Owen Baya, Member of Parliament for Kilifi North, and Honorable Kennedy Ondiek, UDA Coordinator, South Nyanza. Thank you very much for making time. Honorable Baya, I'll start with you on this. On the front page of the Daily Nation, secrets of Raila's AU job bid. Opposition leader Raila Odinga is keen to return to the African Union to head the AU Commission, a higher profile job than the one he had held last at the continental body before his controversial exit last year. Besides relying on the Kenyan government, he has activated his networks around African capitals to assess whether his bid has potential for success or if it is a doomed voyage. What do you make of this bid, Honorable Baya? Is this a good move or a wrong move?
Thank you very much, and glad to be here again. And whether Raila, this is a good move for him or not, one of the things that you need to know that before anyone really wants to get a continental job or an international job at this level, requires the support of his government. Yeah. And Raila needs to clean his house in the sense that he needs to be able to talk to government, because our foreign missions and our secretariat at AU will play a key role in determining who becomes AU secretary what. You remember when the former minister, Kenyan minister for foreign affairs, the lady, what was her name? Amina Mohamed wanted to get a continental job. And it took our foreign ministers to run around many capitals, and the president dispatched many people to run around many capitals to try to get support for her to be elected into that position. And it was not fruitful. And yet she had full government support. And Amina had a profile, you know, an international profile, because she had served as ambassador, she had served at the UN, and had an international, a very good track record internationally. But she couldn't win that position, and there was a heavy investment by government on her bid. That means, therefore, that if you are looking for an international or continental job of this magnitude, then you need your country's support. So what is his relation with the current government? That will play a key role. And today, President William Ruto stands tall within African leaders in such a way that he has a voice and he's respected. He has played his international diplomacy very well, and he's positioned himself in a place where the continent would listen to him on who becomes the AU. Remember that President William Ruto would have been the current chairman of the AU, but he stepped aside for the president in Comoros. And they have high regards for him. I've been with the president in one or two of these countries where he goes and has a lot of regard. So if Raila would like to get a job of this magnitude, whether he has networks around the world or has networks in every African president's bedroom or wherever, he still requires Kenyan support on this. And therefore, if he wants to do this, it's good for a Kenyan to ascend to the position of the boss at AU. It is very good. But the character of Raila right now, and you see what befell of him when he had to be removed from the chairman of the infrastructure committee. I think Kenya made a decision that they didn't want a cantankerous person like Raila to stay at that international level. And therefore, if he would like to ascend to a position like this, he needs to speak to President William Ruto, and he needs to speak to this government, and Kenya needs to activate its international networks for a Kenyan to sit. And I am happy, personally, if a Kenyan sits, wherever it is, but sits at the helm of AU, it is good for this country, and it raises the profile of the country. Therefore, I wish him luck. But I want to tell him, you know, when he sees me, he says, you know, when is my politicals here, I can advise him. Today. Talk to the Kenyan government if you want this position.
Ondiek, does this move vindicate all the other members of parliament who realigned themselves to the government? Because like Baya is saying that if you're going to get this job, then you need some kind of an endorsement from the sitting head of state. Will this vindicate the people who move to the other side? Because then essentially, the head, Raila himself, would have to align to government.
In my view, this position, as it is coming, whether Raila will get it or not, matters a lot to the country. And also, The fact that a Kenyan would get an opportunity to chair such a very senior continental position is very important for us as a country. And we need to look at its bigger picture and what will come with it. But as to the man Raila Odinga, I think that obviously he qualifies a great deal to be the chairman of AU. And if so is to be selected, then I believe that he can have enough knowledge and experience as to how much that Africa requires of such particular position. But it will depend on two things. Number one, our diplomatic position in the continental stage. What does Kenya offer in African continental stage? And the demeanor of our state, and also the outreach of our government, of our president, as he has said, because this is a position which you cannot get if you don't have a blessing of the president. In fact, you cannot be picked from nowhere to be the chairman of AU. In my view, I look at it in politics, and also I look at it in diplomatic level. At the diplomatic level, Raila qualifies properly. At political level, he might qualify, but he might not even otherwise be debated on that table, because maybe someone who is supposed to present his name might not even present it at the same time. So it comes back to what you have just said. Once we go into an election, we have to believe and understand our processes that there must be a result. And when result had come out, it was necessary for Raila and his cahoots to understand that the process was ended and they should have not delved so much into election results, which actually went even up to the Supreme Court. Because now it might even jeopardize his chances of getting this very important position. And in fact, his removal in the initial position was just political. So he has to also remember, to know how to play his cards right. But now back to the local politics. I know there are members of parliament, and I'm very, I might say here, a person like Senator Mwok, we are with him here. He might not wish to see Raila leaving political stage because some of them win based on Raila's name. I'm happy he's here. He will defend that position. So there are politicians in our region, like Luo region, who would not afford to run for a position as long as they are sure Raila is not there, because they campaign regularly using his name that they are going to assist Raila somewhere at the top, which they actually don't do at the end. So they will ensure that Raila doesn't go for this job. And if he goes, then some of them will really persuade him that, Baba, don't go, because they know their survival is only Raila's hands to be raised in some particular big rally at home, so that they can come back to the positions they are in. So they are going to persuade him to the best level they can. But I know there are people who want him to go, like Alonzo Musyoka will advise him, this is the best thing for you, so that he can leave that vacuum for him to run on Azimio ticket or something like that. And people like Joho are also looking for position to run for, to have the flag, to be flag bearers of ODM and also within Azimio, if it will continue up to election. So personally, I look at very many things in this thing that Raila might want the job. And actually, he wants it. I'm very sure Raila will settle for anything as we speak, because he doesn't know what 2027 will bring. So he's very sure that if he picks this, it will be a continental position, gives him an international outlook, in fact, to develop his CV more, because presidency is slightly far away from him, as we see, because it was very close to it in the last election, but most likely, as we can deduce, is very far from any presidency in this country. So taking this continental position is good. So he has to go back to his members, persuade them and tell them that, let me take this one as we wait, so that even these members who want to hang on his coat can just remain there to wait to face electorates in the next election. But the main thing, Kenya, as a country, if we might work towards navigating our ways into getting this position, it will give us a very good diplomatic position, and it will elevate us to a big level in the continental picture.
All right, Eddie, there's a direct allegation towards you from Odiek there, and I'd like you to answer just two questions. Would this be a good move for Raila? And is it concerning to some of the party members, like Odiek is saying, those who use his name to campaign?
Thank you, Trevor. And it is a beautiful morning, and I want to thank you for this opportunity, and also say hello to Kenyans who are watching us this morning. Allow me, Trevor, first of all, because in the front page of the same newspaper that we're looking at is a picture of a young man, 24-year-old Kiptum, who died on a tragic road accident. And it would be remiss of me to discuss politics without passing my sincere condolences to the family of Kiptum, and also to make the comment that as a young person in this country, I am extremely disappointed on the political class. If somebody like Kiptum, who actually holds the world record, and has given Kenya so much glory, much more achievement than most of us politicians have had, to put Kenya in the global map and to give us our place in the world, can die of this kind of deaths. It's high time that we start recognizing that our athletes and even our sportsmen in general should actually be accorded serious VIP treatment, because there are so many questions to desire about this particular tragic death. Why would Kiptum drive himself in the middle of the night? Why is Kiptum not having security? Why are people like Kipchoge Eliud not having security? If you remember one young man called Dennis Oliech, who his right foot alone took us to the African Cup of Nations and actually spent all his money during his youthful time to make sure that our team could play in the African Cup and bring us, to the continental tournament and bring us glory. Today, somebody like Oliech is wallowing in serious poverty, and no attention is given to these sportsmen. It breaks my heart. So let me just take that opportunity, with your humble permission, to say sorry to the family of Kiptum, and also to say sorry to the family of his coach, who also was relatively young in the coaching fraternity and is Rwandese. And I think it would be insensitive as a nation not to say sorry to them, given that he rose so high into the elite coaching and then also gave us so much as a country. So I say so much sorry, and I hope that the political class won't be so selfish to give ourselves so much security, especially at the presidential level and the executive level, and not give people who actually matter, who give this country glory, some sense of protection and some sense of care. Now to the issue of Raila Odinga and AU job. I would be reduced to a joke if I want to respond to somebody like Ondiek's allegation. I think that Ondiek doesn't understand the politics of our region, and doesn't understand how much some of us have worked so hard in politics. Ondiek should know that actually I garnered 295,000 votes at declaration, but overall I garnered 317,000 votes, much more than anybody else garnered in the election in Migori County. So I'm not here as a piece of joke. So I want to respond to his jokes because I'm serving the people of Migori who believe in me as a young man who can bring something to the table, and I'm not hanging on any coat. In any case, Raila Odinga has mentored so many leaders in this country. And, if you hear somebody like Owen Baya talking about Raila being cantankerous, using that kind of a language on a statesman who has given so much to this country, I don't know what is in the CV of Owen Baya. In any case, Owen Baya and people like Ondiek are people who are feeding from the state and, simple handouts from the state, and they believe in this concept that the state is so powerful, especially the person of the presidency, that anything you want in this country, you only get it in the presidency. That's why people like Owen Baya can go to parliament and then start voting for anything that is bad, so long as it pleases Ruto and so long as it pleases the State House. That is not what we are talking about here.
But if you look, point when they say that you will need the head of state's endorsement.
I'm coming to that.
The tangent that Eddie is taking in this debate.
I'm coming to that. Why is it that when I'm debating
issues but about us?
So we are taking. But that's what you're saying, because that is what you're saying.
We'll take the issues.
I was keeping quiet very well
because I can see Eddie running away.
These are statements that they made. It is not my statement.
He wants
to say that he's cantankerous, so he's responding.
If you call my leader cantankerous, a man who brought democracy in this country and gave him the power to be able to speak in this country, you call him cantankerous. A man who brought the constitution that you're today enjoying, that you can see devolution.
But why was he removed at the AU job?
Can I just talk?
Why was he removed?
I'll give you a chance.
Mature debates requires that you actually be able to listen to others when they're speaking. Because I listened to you when you're speaking, I didn't interrupt you. This is a man who actually has served this country For over 40 years in politics, this is a man who has spent his entire, almost a half of his political life in prison and being persecuted by the same state organs that today you want to fight on and saying that any opportunity in this country that you want, you must go and kneel in State House. By the way, if you look at the way the AU selects, or rather elects somebody to become a chairperson, there is no any structure whatsoever that needs endorsement by your president or that needs mercy by your president. If Raila Odinga was going for this job, right, and it's about qualification, previous AU chairs, including Faki, that we are seeing currently, and even if you remember, the wife to the former president of South Africa, the wife to Zuma, she didn't need Zuma, who was the president then, to be able to become an AU chair. Raila Odinga has got massive networks and massive respect across the globe. I can actually argue that in the continent today, if you were to compare Raila Odinga and President Ruto in the continental map in terms of respect, both diplomatic and political, Raila scores way above Ruto. His network span way above Ruto. But you see, what Owen Baya and the likes of the state want us to discuss here is completely material, because Raila Odinga himself hasn't pronounced himself on this matter, even as they try to bring it through NIS so that you can discuss this matter of AU and forget the issues of bread and butter that Raila cares about so much in the country, which is what, in their head, is their biggest fear, that if Raila is in this country, he can be able to scrutinize government. If Raila is in this country, he can be able to question their misdeeds and misbehaviors in this country, so that they want to bring a narrative about this AU conversation to take Kenyans away from the serious issue that we should be discussing that Raila cares about. So this is nondescript, and I don't want to discuss it, because the day Raila Odinga will give us the power to discuss it is when he will express it to us. Raila does his things very consultatively with his troops, you know, both within the party and without the party, and he discusses things very openly. It will come a time that we'll discuss this when he tells us to discuss it, that is when he shares about the interest. But what I'm seeing in this media is simple propaganda by you know, the leaders in government like Owen Baya and his boss. Okay.
What do you make of this bid? Is it something concerning?
First, I'm surprised, my friend Owen and Odieki. Sending blessings and curses to Raila Odinga at the same time. These two young people have been brought up by Raila Odinga politically. And in fact, if it was not for Raila Odinga, Owen Baya would never become a member of parliament. Yeah. And similarly, Odieki served as an MC, a courtesy of Raila Odinga. So I think they should respect and honor that. In terms of what the government can do, first of all, for you to become a AU chair, you must get blessings of many presidents. Whether your president supports you or not, you can still become a AU chair, but the goodwill of your government is important. I remember this was first leaked by Musalia Mudavadi when he went somewhere in Nyanza and found himself in trouble with the crowds. So one of the ways of getting out of that place was to begin making promises about this job. It is a prestigious job. It is good if it comes from our nation. I know it has a lot of politics behind it. It has, just as Owen Baya has done, it has, the bad wishers and good wishers at the same time. Some people, for some reason, wouldn't like Raila Odinga to be around. So when he's far away, they think it will be better. You see, from what we have seen today, Kenya has become a quarreling nation. The president goes to launch some grady, which can be done even, you don't need to be there for that grady to be done in Kiambu. And there is a lot of quarrel in the leadership of Central Kenya and Kiambu in particular. And you can see there's a quarreling government. You see, that's not what President Kibaki did. When President Kibaki came to power, there was goodwill in the country. The shilling peaked the day he was sworn in, even without anything being done. So many things went right. He did not blame Moi for anything. The country was in a terrible situation. And in the international jobs, Kenyans got supported out of goodwill, not out of bad will. So I think we should all wish Honorable Raila Odinga well. and give him the goodwill. He's already got a lot of networks in Africa, and a lot of people know him. And his friend, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, has been a foreign affairs minister, has a lot of networks internationally. And I'm sure it's not even about Africa. The lobby goes beyond Africa.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of goodwill. And chances are very high that Raila Odinga is going to get this job and is going to serve Africa.
And will that create political orphans? In as much as Okech did not want to talk about it,
I don't think so.
That there are some people who get to their positions courtesy of Raila Odinga. You have also mentioned Owen Baya. In fact, you've accused the two of them.
In fact, Trevor, just for the record, to help my brother here, Owen Baya was actually elected by the ODM ticket. And then when he got into parliament, you know, I don't know whether he was very hungry. He came from campaigns when he was very emancipated, that he had to actually go to State House to seek for some porridge. Yeah. And then he switched camp and left his people and also left the party. So he cannot lecture us about...
But how is it different from you who was elected on an ODM ticket and yet you said you were elected as a person? Why
of course, because I'm saying he switched camp on a party because the integrity of any member of parliament is that when you are elected...
And also left ODM and independent. You also left and ran away on ODM. You also attacked that same Raila.
I've never been to State House.
No, but you see, you had left ODM. You had also left ODM at a particular time.
But the thing is, what I was saying here is the arrangement of parliament. I'm talking about member of parliament, not the people like Kenny Odiki who are
it's not a matter of...
I'm talking about the member of parliament here. So what's happening here is that, and by the way, this is not a heckling show, Kennedy. Let's just be a little bit, decorous. So what's happening is this, Trevor. Yeah. When you're elected as a member of parliament within a political party, our laws require, forget about all the political maneuvers that you made to get into parliament. But once you're in parliament, our laws require that you stick to the party that elected you so that we can be able to have a proper balance between minority and majority in order to be able to keep other at check.
All right.
If you can get...
I was disrupted. So you see, it is good for young people to respect where they come from. I think it's just... ideal, because the people are watching and God is also watching you. So I think it's good to give that respect where it deserves. A lot of people have been politically made by Raila Odinga, including President Ruto.
Yes. So will it create political orphans if he moves?
First of all, ODM is a very vibrant party. It's a very strong party as a party. It's very competitive within it itself. You know, they usually go for nominations, which are very competitive. And it's a very popular political party in the country. In fact, for a long time, it had majority of MPs, and it covers most parts of Kenya. And therefore, some people may become orphaned when he's no longer there, but quite a number of people have a support of the people. Like I know Senator Eddie here works for the people. He's elected with a lot of votes. You just check and observe how a person is elected. It tells you the margins you are able to deal with your competitors. If you are really weak, you know the margins will not be that high. They will be very small, 10, 11. But when you give people a margin of 200,000 votes, then it means you particularly are very popular with the people. And the people, when they are well represented, they'll bring you back to the party. They also belong. So at times, that's why you find at times an independent person who is rejected by the party ends up in parliament. And there are quite a number of independent people, including independent governors. That shows that particular person was popular. And if the party organs mismanage a little bit, then that person is elected independently. So I believe when he goes there, our ODM will be left intact. There are enough young people in ODM who can manage the party very well. And the people of ODM are purposeful. They are not easy to sway. The way the government is thinking, other than Owen Baya, who got swayed. He went alone. He didn't go with the people. The people of Kilifi are not with him. He's on his own.
He got well fed.
Let me say this.
know, I will forgive Eddie for one, his young age. He has a lot of time to learn a few things. He came to Parliament just the other day. I have been there. Manzo has been there. I know how Parliament works more and better than he does. He hasn't even finished a complete, there has only 2 sessions, only 2 sessions that he has done. And therefore he can be forgiven for saying the things that he's saying. And of course he's excited to be on a big TV station like Citizen, so I can forgive him. But I want to tell Eddie this. He was not elected as Eddie. He got ODM votes that were actually guaranteed. As long as you have a ticket for ODM, Migori, where he comes from, he would be elected. So he should not come to this station and start talking about he as Eddie having been elected. He cannot do that. Because those are ODM votes. Whoever runs on that ticket in that region and on an ODM ticket, he will be elected. If there was any other person who had been given the ticket for ODM, he would have been elected. Owen Baya is a different cup of tea. Very different. I ran in an ODM-dominated region on a UDA ticket where no one else, I am the only member of parliament from Kilifi County elected on a UDA ticket in the central district of Kilifi. Okay. Actually the seat of Kilifi. I come from the same ward with the governor of Kilifi. The same ward. We went to the same primary school. We go to the same church. Our families are friends. He ran on an ODM ticket. He was elected as governor. I was elected as member of parliament. I actually got the MCA for that ward elected on UDA. What does that tell you about Owen Baya? I'm not as simple.
Say God willing, not your own power.
Of course.
It's not your power.
You're members of parliament.
So that
we are listening to this profile.
So that I put it very clearly to Eddie.
It's a very important profile.
I am not here by accident. I was deliberately elected. People went there and elected Machungwa, but they said, but for MP, Owen Baya. That's the guy we want.
All right.
When I came to parliament, there are very many people there, very many members of parliament had a very high profile. But they looked around and said, this Owen Baya will serve as the deputy leader of majority in the National Assembly.
No, you were given by Ruto.
Yes. And I served very well in the 12th parliament.
Okay.
Very well in the 12th parliament.
Okay. Yeah, we sat
next to each other in parliament. And I can tell you, I took time to learn the ropes in parliament. Okay. And Manzo is one of the people I looked, because he was there earlier than me.
Okay.
And John Buddy was sitting in front of me. And he held my hand, and I learned. And I want to tell Eddie, learn parliament. Be useful to the people in parliament. You will even run on any other ticket and you'll be elected.
Okay. If you come back to the topic.
But now I want to come back.
Will create political
I want to say this.
Yeah.
One day I asked John Buddy, and I think there was a story in The Nation this week.
Yeah.
Yes, that why do people always start the song about Raila must be on the ballot as presidential candidate? And I have had a lot of discussions with ODM members, and they will tell you, especially from Nyanza, they'll tell you, if Raila is not on the ballot as a presidential candidate, our political careers are gone.
This they tell you in confidence.
This they tell me in confidence.
Who has told you?
Stop heckling, Eddie.
I'm not heckling. You can't lie on TV.
Finally, we'll find who is the heckler on this table.
Let me make my point. So, when Raila is not on the ballot, and they don't care whether he wins, they don't care whether he wins. As long as he's on the ballot, they are assured of a seat in parliament, in gubernatorial, in senate. They are assured of this as long as Raila on the ballot. If Raila is not there, their political careers are gone. The same thing with Wiper candidates.
Yeah.
Wiper MPs and Wiper. If Kalonzo is not on the political scene at the national level, they're finished, because they are elected on the basis of the person at the top and your affiliation to them. And therefore, when Raila exits this national scene, there'll be very many political orphans, especially in ODM. Okay. I heard Manzo say that ODM is a strong party. As it stands right now, ODM might be popular, but may not be strong, because you test the strength of a party on its numbers, especially in areas that is not where the presidential candidate comes from. You know, if you look at from 2007 to now, ODM has had its numbers in parliament dwindling. And I think this 13th parliament has the lowest, numbers, the lowest numbers. And majority of the people that have been elected on ODM have come from the region where the presidential candidate has come from.
Okay.
What does that tell you about Raila as a person and his influence in the region? That if he exits the scene, the political scene, ODM will not be as strong as it is now.
Okay.
It's not. ODM is very popular.
Okay.
Okay, with people.
Yeah.
But in terms of strength, it is not. Now, I want to finish by saying this.
Yeah.
That I want to disabuse the notion that us as government will be happy if Raila exits the scene. We will not be happy. We want him here. Like Raila Odinga to stay in this country. Yeah. Well, I wish him well because as a person,
why are you firing live bullets to him?
As a person,
yeah.
Almost assassinated him.
Raila Odinga as a person, he has ambition.
Yeah.
He has things to do, and if he gets a new job, which is good, it is also good for the country's profile. It is good. And we wish him well if he wants to move on that trajectory. But I would like Raila to be here to see for himself how a government can change and transform a country. That a leader that has come from down there, from nowhere, can actually rise and come and actually change a country. Okay. I want him to be a witness, an eyewitness to the things that can be done. I don't want him moved anywhere. I want him to stay around, to see, to learn, and also to guide these young politicians like AD that seem to not, I want him to be here.
Okay.
I want to also say that Raila Odinga is a good political mentor. I have nothing against him as a person. He's a good political mentor. He picked me from the university. I used to teach in the university. And he said, hey, I think you have a talent. You can come and offer leadership. And here I am. Yeah. And the longer he is around, he will pick even President William Ruto worked with Raila Odinga. Yeah. And he acknowledges that this man, politically, he can mentor you. But in terms of how he can keep friends and continue to mentor people, we have a problem with that. Okay. Hassan Joho, actually I was reading something here, he says Hassan Joho is one of the very good political pupils of Raila Odinga. Yes, but it's come to a time, you see, he has grown cold feet. And many other politicians, Moses Wetangula, Mudavadi, and all these are people that went through the Raila school of politics. Okay. But eventually, they find their own trajectory and move on. But in terms of mentoring, I would like him to pick more young people and mentor them because that is probably the school of politics that a lot of us in politics have gone through. All right. But I want to say this, if he doesn't get that job, I want him here. We want him here. We want him to check government. We want him to be the voice, the alternative voice, so that he can give checks and balances for this government. That we want to be checked and want to be held accountable. And it is more pleasurable to be held to account by Raila Odinga. All right. I have to take a quick break, Undika. I know you mentioned I'll give you a chance to respond when you come back. It's a commercial break we're taking. When you come back, we also give you a chance to respond. And then after that, we talk about something that is on the back page of the Daily Nation. Shilling rallies against the dollar to post strongest intraday gain in years. Is the economy getting more stable now? That is the conversation we have right after this break. Keep your views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. We'll run them right after this break, all right?